Oh dear. Amazon's favourite wisecracking ass-kicking action hero is back, and once again she's brought her great big hulking sidekick with her. There are lots of things wrong with Reacher Season 3, but one of the worst things is the continual insistence on shoehorning Reacher's friend Neely into the series, just so Amazon can try and most likely fail to launch a lucrative spin-off series. Of the 3 books which have been adapted so far, Neely has appeared in just one of them. In my review of Season 2 last year, I was hugely critical of the decision to massively alter the order of the books just so they could give Neely a major role in that series. That decision marginalised the Reacher character, and it gave audience members only Season 1 to bond with the character before they threw loads of side characters, in-jokes, and no-context camaraderie at us. Part of me wonders if Richardson himself has got a little bit upset with the Neely shoehorn, because he seems to have lost any interest in the role. His performance in Series 3 is robotic, and if I'm being honest, I've seen better acting performances from this table. What happened to the guy in Series 1? And is this the same guy for Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare? As bad as Series 3 is, it's still an improvement on Series 2, but this is very hollow praise. The series opens with Reacher walking into a vinyl store and attempting to pawn off some dodgy LPs. The store owner immediately starts ripping the piss out of Reacher's questionable music taste. One thing that always amazes me about this series is how ordinary people are always willing to insult a 2-ton shaved gorilla who looks as though he could systematically tear every limb from your body whilst at the same time leaving absolutely no trace of violence. Anyway, upon sniffing the air and looking out of the window, Reacher quickly deduces that something bad is about to happen on the street outside. It might just be a case of déjà vu, but I can't help but think I've seen a similar intro somewhere else before. Anyway, one thing leads to another, and before we know what's happening, Reacher has foiled a kidnapping. There's only one problem. Whilst whisking the victim away to safety, Reacher mistakenly shoots a police officer. Given this turn of events, we immediately know something is up here, because Jack Reacher is not the kind of guy who goes around shooting cops, mistakenly or otherwise. So the cop will either turn out to be a bad guy, or this whole kidnapping thing is a setup and Reacher is tricking the supposed victim. Any doubt as to which is happening is firmly put to bed in the next 5 seconds when Reacher starts acting really shifty throughout the car journey. This is the first example of Richardson's really poor acting. It's almost as if he's giving a nod and a wink to the audience that this is all a hustle. I'm still a good guy, honest. Surely it would have been better to throw some ambiguity in there, but I guess not. Luckily for Reacher, this fuckwit turns out to have brains in his backside, so doesn't suspect a thing. He just invites this great big muscle-bound Trojan horse into his father's house and gun-running operation. It isn't long before it is confirmed what was long ago suspected. Reacher is not a villain after all, and is indeed undercover, working to bring down a gun-running operation and rescue a missing informant.
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
We then suffer a long drawn-out and painful backstory which charts how Reacher was recruited for this mission, which also includes every intricate detail as to how the kidnapping and cop shooting was staged. This whole thing seems to last for an eternity. The dialogue is dreadful, it's boring and very wishy-washy. The show's creators spend 45 minutes doing what A State of Grace managed to do more effectively in 2 minutes. As a side note, if you haven't seen 1990's State of Grace, then you should check it out. There's lots to like about it, but Gary Oldman's sadistic psychopath with a heart of gold is pure class.
This is somebody's hands?
Yeah. Hey.
What are you touching them for?
Terry, meet Flynn.
Anyway, I suppose I better go back to talking about Reacher Series 3. One curious thing about Reacher's insertion as an agent provocateur is that he uses his real name and identity. You'd think, given that he's built like a brick shithouse and spends most of his time going from town to town foiling crime and international conspiracies, you'd think that maybe word had gotten round that this is not the sort of bloke that bad guys and international gun runners can trust. They even know about his military past, where he spent the whole time breaking up gun running rings.
Reacher was an honor death.
Luckily, these bad guys are thick as pig shit, so they just buy it. What makes the decision for Reacher to use his real identity even more questionable is that he knows or suspects that his longtime nemesis, Xavier Quinn, is the mastermind behind the whole thing. This was the guy that Reacher shot in the head and threw into a river a few years previously. You'd think that's the sort of unbelievably unlikely thing that a bad guy might remember, but Reacher guesses that he'll probably have amnesia, and luckily enough he does. I was hoping they would pull out some sort of evil twin brother thing here to make it even a little bit credible, but no, Reacher 3 goes all in on the stupid and all out ridiculous. After all, everything in this story is so predictable and also convenient, like when we get the backstory of Cole's murder. Reacher finds a completely stupid and implausible excuse to send only 2 people to arrest an extremely well-trained and sadistic bad guy. Richson's acting doesn't improve as the series progresses. Some of the standout painful moments include the foiled purse snatching. Reacher's deductions are now just painfully robotic monologues from a Sherlock Holmes if he was heavily sedated and had his tongue stapled to his forehead. Also, I really don't understand why he acts like a complete idiot. Every time Reacher is challenged or thinks his cover is blown, he looks like he's literally about to shit his pants. I'm pretty sure anyone undercover would try and act cool, but not this Reacher.
All right, play it nice and cool, son. Nice and cool, you know what I mean?
You'd think the bad guys would notice the smell of the small sewage plant in his trousers, or maybe the trickle of shit dripping from his trouser leg. Other bad guys might question why he's reaching for large pieces of furniture and looking like he's about to wrap it around someone's head. There are continual moments of implausibility and stupid laugh-out-loud silliness, like when puny university students decide to start a fight with a bloke literally 6 times the size of them. The relationship between Reacher and Duffy is chalkboard-scratchingly painful, and of course, we continually get the cutaways to Neely, who continually questions what Reacher is up against, and if he can handle it. Predictably, it turns out that he can't handle it by himself, not without Neely. We know it's only a matter of time before she shows up. Once again, this detracts from the Reacher character. He's supposed to be a loner, a wanderer, someone who is self-reliant, but nah, he's always got Captain Planet who he can call on when things start to get a little bit hairy. Neely even gets to save the day, and even gives him permission to kill the bad guy.
Do what you're gonna do, boss.
The villain is also very one-dimensional. Yes, he's a sadist, but we don't really get to understand much about his motivations. The ending is very predictable. Everyone dies who you'd expect to die, and everyone lives who you'd expect to live. It's all very dull. The best thing about the series is the performance of Olivier Richters as Paulie. The rivalry and verbal sparring between his character and Reacher was by far the most entertaining part of the season. Unfortunately, he is criminally underused and could have appeared more. This would have built up the confrontation between him and Reacher even more. The end fight, though, does not disappoint. It was bloody and thrilling, and well choreographed, unlike much of the other action scenes. In some ways, the end fight between these two almost made the series worth watching. It was a stark contrast to the demise of the actual big bad, which was a blink and you'll miss it moment. All in all, Series 3 was a predictable and, in my opinion, poor instalment to a series which already appears to have gone very stale. I hear Reacher Series 4 is already in the works, and I'll make 2 predictions. We will get a shed-load more of Neely, as the release of this series will probably coincide with her own spin-off. Given the show's producers will want to maximise Neely's involvement, I suspect they will adapt Novel 6 without fail for the next Reacher instalment. This is the novel in which Neely first appeared, and is the one where she is most involved. The second prediction I will make for Series 4 is that it will probably be the last in which we see Richson in the role, because he already looks bored.